But this is not the end, of course. As I mentioned, the protection is kind of lost over time. We have no protection against pressurized water. We have no protection against non-water substances. So when something is hydrophobic, when you spill oil on it, of course, it will not work because it's not oleophobic. So what we need even more protection, even maybe against mechanical wear, against abrasion. Then we can reach for surface protection material. Here we have three categories of products. Non-film forming impregnations. So this is something you coat, spray, brush on the concrete. You will not see it, but it's there and it's protecting it. We have film forming materials. These will, of course, offer more protection, but they can change the visual look, the aesthetic of the surface. And then we have some special coatings, which are also film forming, but I kind of like to categorize them separately because they are unique in other ways. And all three of these materials, they offer different degrees of protection, kind of going from a little bit from the non-film forming to quite a lot to the special coatings. And all of them also have different requirements for the application. Just so you can kind of imagine what I meant by the film forming and non-film forming. With an impregnation here on the left, the concrete looks just like it would look normally. This is like a blasted surface on a tile. And many customers and their customers prefer this look because it's concrete. We want it to look like concrete. We like the concrete aesthetic. So therefore, impregnations are very popular in this case. But if you need the extra protection against chemicals, wear, oil, petrol, whatever, UV, you might need to use a coating. And there, basically, it's almost linear. The more you apply, the more protection you get, and the more you will see it. So let's quickly just quickly talk about the impregnations. You cannot see them on the surface. That kind of comes, I think, in the name. Again, they offer good protection against non-pressurized water. Some protection against slightly pressurized water, but once the water is past this layer of product, is just it can just continue. They are not as durable, so they will eventually be removed from the concrete again through effects like wind and water flowing with little sand particles inside and UV and just the environment they are in. They will eventually be removed and they have to be reapplied. Maybe depends on the amount of wear, but once a year, maybe a bit more often if it's raining and if the weather is quite bad. They have to should be periodically refreshed if you want to maintain the effect. And against water-based liquids, they offer a reasonable stain protection. So when you use an admixture, unless it's the Hydrotec 883 Ultra, which just stops the water no matter what, some of it will penetrate inside, just a little bit, just a millimeter. But if the liquid is colored, like in this case, red wine, it will stain the concrete. And when you have white concrete and you want to keep it white, you might want to, not have that, of course. In the hydrophobic impregnation, I will again jump to this picture. We have the same cross-section of concrete with the pores and capillaries, but now instead of putting the molecules, kind of spreading them throughout the whole element, we are focusing them only on the surface, only kind of, if you think about it, where it matters, because there is no liquid coming from within. So we are really taking the same amount of material and just putting it in much more concentrated amount on the surface. And therefore, even with a affordable material, we can achieve the stain protection because we are blocking the water from coming into the first few millimeters of the surface. Of course, again, when it goes past this layer, it's over. So we want this layer to be as thin as possible, preferably monomolecular, because otherwise we are wasting material. One molecule is enough. And again, we are not changing the microstructure at all. This layer is so small that you cannot see it. Even like with a microscope, it doesn't do anything. There is no change to color. Or I mean, with some materials there might, but if you apply it in a thin enough layer, the right material, you should not see any discoloration. And again, what happens against non-pressurized water? We have no problem. The water will stay on the surface, not penetrate, something like that. So this is a balcony of Dr. Schutten. When you see her tomorrow, you can tell her you saw her balcony. And as I mentioned, once the pressure comes, it kind of pushes the water inside and then it's over. So in that case, an admixture will serve you better.